Marvel's Avengers is going to put a lot more emphasis on the single player experience than we thought, even though it will still remain a sort of a hybrid between that and online co-op. Thanks to a recent interview with the creative directors over at Marvel Games and Crystal Dynamics, we got to find out more about the work that is currently being put in the upcoming game, and during that interview they talked more about the gameplay, the story, as well as other characters that we might get to see making an appearance in the game itself, including of course Spider-Man. So let's dive right in because there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and also I'm doing another giveaway thanks to the awesome folks over at Instant Gaming who set it up. You can take part in it by simply signing up on their website and then choosing whichever game you want to, including of course the pre-order for Marvel's Avengers, and you will get the game once it's fully launched. But of course you can also pick whichever other game you want to as well. So hit that like button if you enjoyed these, and let's get started with the main campaign, which is one of the main topics over there. The main campaign in Marvel's Avengers is designed to be more linear, meaning that your objectives are already confined to what the story wants to tell you, and you are given little room to deviate from that. This is something that even the initial trailer summarizes perfectly despite being so short, as in the story unfolds in front of your eyes, danger starts happening, you see the explosion over there, and then you jump in the action with the whole team, and you get to play with each character one by one as the story moves forward. As you go through it, you will transition from combat to cutscene and eventually to other characters that you'll take control of in battle, and the purpose of the main campaign is basically to tell you this story, the unique story that Crystal Dynamics is creating, to add context to what it is that you're currently looking to accomplish in the game, and of course to introduce you to each character one by one, learn the games, learn the basics, and then move forward from that. The bridge mission was the best example. It's not the first mission in the game, but it is still quite early on, so you celebrate a day, disaster strikes on the bridge, and then the whole team moves in to help, and as the action moves on you are given control over certain characters, starting with Thor. You get to feel how it is to control him using his attacks, his godly powers, and then the action moves toward Iron Man. You take on enemies with your thrusters, you get to fly on the bridge, but that I've said, it's quite constricted, so you can't really like go anywhere you please, at least not in the main campaign. Hulk also jumps in, you know the sequence already. He jumps from one obstacle to another and pretty much destroys everything in sight, and there's even a sequence with Hulk that he has to like go through and jump from obstacle to obstacle as the bridge is about to collapse. So it makes a lot more sense that you're essentially playing with a whole team to be given control over each of the characters individually at some point, eventually even having to play with Captain America and Black Widow in the end, and Taskmaster is going to be like the end boss in that mission. You get to fight using of course and controlling Black Widow, and once you take him down as Black Widow, well, you kinda know what happens next. But during the interview it was confirmed that the characters are gated in a way, in the sense that you will unlock new ones as you complete the story. So it's going to be at different points in the story when you unlock new characters. It's kinda like similar to Anthem a little bit, though that is kinda like level dependent. So as you progress through the game you are given new characters, and then you can take those characters and do extra missions outside of the main story itself, and there is when you will have all of the progression going on, getting new skills, getting new gear, and customizing it the way you want to. Once you have unlocked the new character you pretty much have all the freedom in the world to do what you want with it. You don't need to complete the main mission if you don't want to, you can just move on and do other missions, but of course if you do want to get back to the main story itself, then this can be done fully single player. As a matter of fact, I don't even believe you can do it co-op at all. Maybe I've read a little bit too much into this, but the vast majority of it is going to be playable single player. See the full action, see the full story itself, the way the developers wanted to tell it to you. So there's a lot of emphasis being put on storytelling still. It's not just another games as a service kind of game that, you know, just incentivizes you to spend as much money on it. You're still given the full experience with the main story campaign. Of course, if you're going back to the missions themselves, even with those you have the full option to play either solo, play co-op with your friends, or via matchmaking. The game was described to be kind of like a hybrid between these two modes, like single player and multiplayer, which should in theory satisfy players on both sides of the fence, and the fact that you have both a linear campaign and mission arcs that give you a little bit more freedom is still really awesome. As I've said, if you want to and if you're a completionist, then you can do the main story itself, get all the achievements, get all the characters, even progress with them single, and then once you want to test out co-op, co-op, you can definitely have the possibility to do that as well, and you can jump in with a friend and go in and like display your current character and the amount of progression you have done with it. And since we're still on the subject of characters, yes, you will be able to pick a main. You don't really have to like go in out of your way to unlock a certain character, progress with it, just so you can bring it up to level to like do a certain type of mission. You are given the full possibility, or at the very least that is what Crystal Dynamics is aiming for, to give players the full possibility to pick a main if they want to. If you enjoy one of the Avengers and their combat style, you are free to play with them exclusively, but you are also heavily incentivized to like try as many of them as possible. And more often than not, most people will most probably like playing with multiple characters at the same time. I mean, you have so many amazing heroes in the game with so many unique abilities and full progression systems for all of them that it would be just a shame to not test them all out. Now moving over to more info about our hub, it seems that the helicarrier we see crashing in the official trailer was supposed to be a hub for us players, and probably it even gets used in the beginning stages of the game, but probably eventually gets destroyed, of course in the mission we see. It's called the Chimera, and it was confirmed to be developed with the help of S.H.I.E.L.D. So in the story that Crystal Dynamics wants to tell you, S.H.I.E.L.D. has helped them to develop this helicarrier, the Chimera. It was even filled with separate sections, but it got destroyed following the A-Day disaster, and since then tensions between the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. started rising, though no more info was given on that. So it's interesting to see how the story develops from here, especially so when we see a similar development to how it was in Civil War, for example, like the Avengers being outcasted, retreating and then reuniting after 5 years. The fact that the Hellier crashed had to do with the new power source that it used, which is kind of like a new technology, highly unstable, and their enemies pretty much sabotaged that, and this led to everything that you saw in the trailer, like the whole carrier exploding and pretty much destroying a lot of the city itself as well. Finally, there's also the question about the possibility for Spider-Man to make an appearance in this game, and it was definitely one of the biggest questions in the past few days, but of course I'm going to play Bill Rossman's answer on this one, and this is basically what he said.
Can Spider-Man appear in this game?
Well, we are just focusing on the core Avengers.
Core Avengers.
Very diplomatic, I appreciate
Yes,
that.
we are. There will definitely be more characters coming. We have gone through the vaults and wrote list after list after list of all of our favorite Avengers. We've gone deep.
So from my understanding, their main focus right now is going to be on the core Avengers. This means that outside of the 5 we already saw in the trailer, there's still Black Panther, Hawkeye, Vision, Wanda aka Scarlet Witch, there's Quicksilver, and we also saw Hank Pym, so Ant-Man is most probably going to be one of the first characters to be introduced after the game launches as well, and there's a couple more I'm probably forgetting, but this should cover quite a lot of them. So from the way I'm reading this is that Crystal Dynamics is most probably going to try to focus on these characters that haven't actually been portrayed that much in video games, and even though they're big characters in the Marvel universe, there's not that many games about them, and I think it makes sense. I mean, we already have a Spider-Man game, Insomniac Games already has their thing going on for them, so it wouldn't really make sense for Crystal Dynamics to also shift resources for Spider-Man. But again, they didn't outright exclude the possibility either, so if you're a fan of Spider-Man like I am and you're hopeful to see him at some point, the possibility wasn't outright excluded. We might get to see it at some point, but from the way I'm reading this, it's definitely not a priority list. They did mention that currently their plan is to introduce more of the heroes that we already know and love, but also the lesser known ones. As for the villains, we already saw Taskmaster in the trailer, and also Hulk towards the end was fighting Abomination at some point, but Crystal Dynamics said that they will focus on bringing other big names as well, so unlike with the heroes where they will introduce like lesser known ones, for the enemies they will definitely go with the big names. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. It sounds really awesome. It does sound exciting with each new announcement that comes up, but yeah, there's still some time to go until then. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say for now. Now tell me, what hero or villain would you love to see added in this game? Comment down below your option, and in the meantime leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Also subscribe to this channel and activate that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time.